begin what was then a new type of, I don't want to say religion, because religion is a man-made of what, you got theology, which is the study of God, you got religion of what men interpret this theology to be. And what was happening here was, for the first time since I can recollect, or that I've been able to find, is where people could freely come here and say, you know, and to learn. Because what we got to understand is, if we rewind, going back, okay, we're here in 1770s, we're here in this spot. Late 1770s, 1780s, you got British schooners on the outside, okay? You got pirates coming in and out. You got pirates taking people from their homes in the middle of the night. You got a group of people coming here to meet, to learn about this guy named Jesus Christ, okay? So, the free grace cannot be forced. Grace cannot be owed. Grace cannot be deserved. If it is, it's not grace. So, but when we're talking about the history of who this grace is, what we're getting, the number one thing is we got to deal with truth. Okay, when people think about religion, say, oh, well, that's just a belief. No. There's a thing called epistemology. Epistemology is the study of how do you know what you know. I mean, that's how you know what you know, and the way that you understand what you know is when you get information, you take all this information in, you learn all the outside sources, all the sources, the credibility of the sources, if they're biased sources, how far away from the original, okay? Then you start breaking it down and say, okay, can this be true? Can this be true? How is this not true? Okay, so it's such a study. And when people come out and say, oh, how do you believe in God? No, I don't believe in God. I know God's real. Okay, now, I understand that in the Bible, when they say, oh, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And people say, yeah, that word believe is used. However, when Peter, Paul, and all these other apostles went out, they didn't say, we believe we saw this man hang on the cross. We believe we saw him rise 3 days. We believe he walked around for months telling people to stick their fingers in the side. No, they said we know it because we saw it. We saw it. So there's a difference between believing and knowing. In today's society, you've got 4 levels of truth. You can feel something's true. You can think something's true. You can believe something's true. And each one of them get a little bit stronger, but none of them are true. Truth is absolute. Truth is you know. You can only know the truth. So number one is we know we're here. We know we exist. We know there's a physical realm. Okay? We know that we've never seen anywhere in history physical matter manifesting itself out of nothing. Okay? So we know there has to be something outside of our physical realm to make the physical matter. And if anything ever was, nothing ever would be. 0 plus 0 equals 0, no matter if it's 10 trillion years in the future, 10 trillion years ago. So something had to be outside of physical matter, and something always had to exist. These are absolutes. There's no other way about it. I don't care when these atheistic scholars or whatever now debate it. First off, I'm like, you understand that you're debating me against something that you don't believe in. All right, before I even get into the topic of God, I want to discuss the reality of leprechauns. Why? That's ridiculous, right? Yeah, because you ain't going to debate something that you know ain't real. So you're already given an inch. You understand? I hope that this is, so I'm talking about the atheist perspective. So we know there is something here. And brother, if anybody wants to admit it, deny it, or whatever, that does not matter. I don't care what you think, feel, or believe. We know that there is a creator of this universe. We know that. We know there's a spiritual realm that we cannot see. If that song did not just affect you spiritually, let me go out here and dig you a hole in the side yard because you already did.
That's right.
Okay? That right there proves there's a spiritual realm.
Yes.
Our spiritual realm is not necessarily like a ghost that goes up. It's what our subconscious. Romans 1, God writes in it, says, you know, I'm going to turn them over to a debased mind. I'm going to give them this. And then he puts the affections on our heart and our thoughts and our minds. And he gives us, he lifts us up, he breaks us down. Okay, so that's a spiritual realm. When we know that's a reality. Okay, so as we're going through these texts, we got to break down the text of the Scripture. Okay, all right. We got the Old Testament. For Jesus Christ to be who He is, the writings of Jewish people. Okay, you have to start there. Okay, now Genesis 1 through 10. All right. Let them debate all they want. Let them say if it's 14 trillion years ago or 6,000 years ago. Right? I know there's a lot going on in the first 3 days that we ain't never going to figure out. Right? I mean, so I don't get into that. However, we do know that there's a Jewish people that existed centuries and centuries before Christ. We know that. There's archaeological evidence. There's manuscripts, okay? And we know that this Abraham, who was Abram, okay, has been documented from different, not just from the Jewish people, but from outside sources. Another thing we got to look at is the logic. Polytheism is versus monotheism.